So hi everyone, very good morning and good evening. So we'll start the session. So just we have discussed about how the what is exactly the Snowflake is. Then so we created our Snowflake trial account, right? So today in this first session, what we are going to do is we are going to load data to tables. So we have to load the data. That is our requirement. So here, when you are loading the data to any specific tables, what we need to do is we should have table structure, right? It means table should be available in our Snowflake. Where these tables will be available? Tables will be available in schema. These schemas, it will be available in database, right? This database available in our Snowflake account. This we will call it as a Snowflake account. Here within the Snowflake account, you will have multiple databases. Within each database, you may have multiple schemas. Within each schema, you may have multiple tables. It means if you observe our Snowflake account, let me log into our account first, which you have created in previous session. This is the login which we have created. Let me come here. Now we are logged into our Snowflake account. Snowflake 7 is my username which I have given, and then password. Now I have given the username and then password. When you logged into this particular account, you can able to see which particular worksheet you have opened recently. You can able to see it here. If you wanted to open a worksheet, just right click on it. You will get option to open in new window. So this one, open link in a new tab. Otherwise, you have an option to create a new worksheet. If you wanted to create a new worksheet every time, you can click on the create worksheet. But when you open the worksheet option, if I wanted to save this with a different name, just double click on it and I will give this as a class. Outside, when you click on this will be saved. And then if I close, then if you refresh it here, you can able to see which name it has been saved. It is not refreshed here. So next time when you open, you can able to see this name as a class here. Now let's open this worksheet in a separate tab. Now the worksheet has opened. If you observe, see this, this is our Snowflake account. Let's assume we are all working in an organization. Everyone has this link. We are going to work with this particular Snowflake account for our particular project. Okay, and in this particular account, you will have different databases. Let's assume in an organization, you will have different projects. Each projects, just for the consideration, understanding purpose, you can consider that as a separate databases. Now within each database, you can able to see different schemas, right? Different schemas. Within this schema, you may have a table. See this one, for example, let's assume any bank. Okay, when you consider a bank, this is the database is a bank name. Okay, and within this you have a schemas. Let's assume these schemas are belongs to different department. Like for example, this is related to loans department. This is related to for example, the personal accounts and then corporate accounts department. And then this is related to within the loans itself, you can able to like see car loans, home loans, personal loans, right? So each and every schema belongs to each department. Let's assume that within the schema you will have different tables. For example, here let's assume that this is a business loan schema. Here I have customer information, line item information, nations, orders, all the information is available, right? The same way, so I'm going to other schema. Let's assume this is related to personal loan schema. Within the personal loan schema, I have these other tables, right? Every schema, it contains a table based on your the what we can say is based on our sub information. We are going to maintain these schemas. All these schemas where it will be available, schemas will be available in a database. Let's assume this is a one bank. Now other bank details, you can create a other database. Within this database, whatever we are going to maintain, this belongs to other bank. So like that, based on the requirement, we can create databases. Within the databases, you will have a schema. Within the schema, you will have a tables. Now our requirement is, for example, if you observe here, let me come to this. If you observe here in the Snowflake, see this one, this is our data. The data which it is available here, this is our data. This particular data, we wanted to load it into our Snowflake tables. When you wanted to load this data into our Snowflake tables, what we need to do? We should have the table structure. The data loading will be available in a tables, right? These tables, where it will be available, schema. This will be available in a database, right? Now, for our whatever we are going to implement, all the practical scenarios, we are going to create a separate database. Within the database, we will have a schemas. We are going to create schemas based on the requirement. Within the schema, you are going to have a different tables. Now let's assume this is our employee table information. You can see employee ID, name, salary, age, location. All this information, it is available here. This information we wanted to load into the specific table, right? To do that, what we can able to do is, let's observe here in our Snowflake. First, we need to create a database. Now, when you wanted to create any database, you can write command create database name here. Instead of that, go to our home page here. When you click on a data, observe this one. When you click on data, you can able to see the database option here. Just click on database. If you wanted to create any database, just click on a database. What is the database name we wanted to create? I wanted to create as a database name as a class. When I click on create, what will happen is Snowflake is going to create a SQL query in the backend. It is going to generate a SQL query in the backend. This database class will be created. When I click on create, in the backend, it is going to create the table name, create database name. That execution will happen. We will see that. Now let's create it. Now I created a database. See this one? Database class is created. You can able to see when the database has been created here, right? And once it is created, by default, when you observe, every database will have two schemas, guys. By default, it will have two schemas. This is a public schema. This is a information schema. Now, we are not going to do anything with information schema. Information schema, it contains information about the objects, what you are going to create within this database. Every database will have a information schema. By default, it will be created when you create a database. It contains the high level information. Information schema, whatever it is available, everything will be a views. Now, if you observe information schema, see this one, views, just for the interview purpose. So just understand this. Later on, we will see how to utilize this information schema. If you observe here in schema, it contains the classes information, it contains the columns information, it contains the file format information, it contains the like a sequences information, right? Packages information, pipes information, tables information, right? high level, like how many tables we have, how many, like what are the table names, and then how it, when it has been created, who created, all those high level information, it will be available in information schema. When you create anything in our schemas, normal schemas, like this is a public schema, by default it is created. If I want to create another schema here, yes, I can create it by using this create schema option. But now we don't require it. We will use existing public schema itself. Now the schema is already available, right? In this schema, if I click on information schema, see this, we don't have any option, just all these other views only, right? Now when you click on public schema, observe this. When you click on public schema here, you will get a create option. In this schema, within this public schema, you can able to create all these objects, different objects we will use for different purpose, like tables, views, stages, file formats, right? Pipes, all these things are the different objects in our schema. Every schema you will get these options, not information schema. Apart from information schema, whatever the schemas you are going to create, every schema you can able to create all these options. Okay, now our requirement is we created the database. Within this database, so within this database we have a schema. Within this schema, we wanted to load this particular data. To load the data, where we can able to load the data? In the tables. We are going to load this file into our Snowflake. To load that, first we should have table structure in our schema. To create table structure, what we are going to do is, you can use this option, create table, by using a standard. When you click on that, what will happen is, it is going to give the script. This is nothing but a worksheet. It has opened the worksheet here. See this, by default it is showing create table, table name, column name, and then data types, right? And it is showing, if you wanted to see like any supported document, you can able to see that in a documentation. For everything whatever we are going to do in our Snowflake, right, you can take help from documentation. This is a library for us. If you scroll down here, when you click on this account option, you will get documentation. See this one, documentation. You will get everything here. For example, if I wanted to search, for example, create table in Snowflake, just type it. See this one, you will get option 2. So what is the option to create a table? What is the syntax? You will get a different examples, right? So with the example, you can able to create a table. So this one, right? You will get the example like this. By seeing this, you can understand what we can able to do it. Everything you will get in the documentation. So you can refer the documentation if you get any questions, or if you have anything, the sample pseudocode if you want, then we can come to this documentation. We will get it everything here. Now, what is our requirement? We wanted to create a table. To create a table, we can use this option. Then it will open again, it will open worksheet. In the worksheet, we can able to create it. If you observe here, we have a different options like standard, select, and external tables. These are the different tables we can able to create. But now what we are going to do is, we will create standard table only. In Snowflake, we have different table types like permanent, transient, temporary, but we will concentrate on those things later. But today, for our requirement, we will work with a standard table. Now, this is our worksheet, right? When you observe worksheet, where it is connected, this worksheet is connected to this particular database and then this particular schema. Now, whatever we are going to do it in this worksheet, I wanted to point out to class database and then public schema. Then what we need to do is, sorry, we have to change the database name. When you click on the database, you have to click on the schema name. See this one? I clicked on the class database. and then this is a public schema. By default it has been selected, right? It is selected, database name and then schema name selected. Now whatever the query I am going to write it here, it will point out to this particular schema only. Clear? Now see this, if I open this database, if I open this schema, we don't have anything, right? We didn't have, we didn't created any table. Now what we need to do, based on our requirement, we have to create a table structure. To create table structure, here we can write a create table statement. If you observe in the drive link, just a minute, here you can able to see create table statement. This is the create table statement. So what we are going to execute based on our data. Now if you observe the file, see this, what it contains: employee ID, employee name, salary, age, location, right? All these things, whatever it is, you can able to see it here. Based on this, you need to create a table, right? This is the data, and then this is the column details. Based on this, when you wanted to create, now let's come here and we have to use this create statement for all this, the scripts and everything. See, due to the time constraint, I am copying and pasting here, guys, but when you are practicing, my request is please type it, then you will get a hands-on. Create table, table name, and then you can open the bracket. This is the column name, this is the data type. The column, what is the data type it has to contain, right? Employee ID, it has to accept numbers. Employee name has to accept varchar, right? Strings. Salary, accept numbers, right? The column name and data type we have given. This is the length. How many length? If it is beyond 20 length, beyond 20 characters, it will not allow. Within this 20 characters only, it will allow. Okay, that is the length here. Now, if I execute this, table will be created. Now all these scripts, I kept it in the drive. You can able to, if you see the drive link, I will text the drive link here in the chat window. You can use this drive link for our session. All the documentation will be uploaded here. Now we wanted to create a table. When I click on run button, this is the run button, nothing but execution button. Or I don't wanted to use the run button. I wanted to use select the statement. Just use control enter is the shortcut. Control enter we can use, otherwise we can use this run button. Okay, because why I have selected only this is, see this, if I keep the cursor here and then if I execute control enter, only this statement will be executed. Previous statement will not execute. If I select, another way is if I select only this and then if I execute, only this statement will be executed. Now because the table is already exists, that's why it is not, it is throwing error here. Now what will happen is, so without that, for example, so I have done something like this, and then if I keep here and then if I try to execute, it will not execute. For example, just I have given select and I am trying to execute this. So this one, the last statement, it is executing. And then if I say this, if I execute this, only this line will be executed, right? So whatever the statement you wanted to execute, keep the cursor there. Otherwise, the best option is select the statement. Let's execute it. Then the table will be created. Now the table is created with these column names and data types. Now refresh it here. You can able to see the table is available here. Observe this one. Table is available, right? Okay. The table is available. Now what is our requirement? We wanted to load the data from this particular file. This particular file data, we wanted to load it to our existing table. Now once the table is created, you can able to see when it has been created. See this, it is showing that 1 minute before it has been created, right? Created by account admin. Now I wanted to see the columns. What are the columns it is available? Click on this, you will get all the columns. One more thing, if you observe here, you can see hash symbol, right? And then you can see this A. This is related to text. By seeing this, you can understand these are text information. These are numbers, numeric information. These are numeric information. Based on that, we can able to understand. Now, if you generally, what we are going to do, if you wanted to see the data, we will use select star from table, right? So what is the table name here? EMP, right? This is the table name. Now let's execute it. We don't have any data here, right? You have to execute the query to see the data. Now here we have other options. See this one. When you click on this, you can able to see preview data to see the data in the table. But there is a difference. When you execute select star from, you will get all the data. When you execute this preview option, you will get only first 100 rows. That is the difference here. Now, table is created. We wanted to load the data to this particular table. Then what we have to do is we have to load. Generally, what you will do, you will use a insert command. That is a manual process. But I don't want to do this. I wanted to insert the data directly from the file itself. Then what we can do is see this option, click on the more. You may see load table option, load data, right? Load data. This is our user interface option. Whatever we are working here in our window, this we will call it as a user interface option. There is another option also with the command line interface. That is very less we are going to use it, but most of the time we are going to work with our user interface option only here. If I wanted to load, here we have a load table option. This is one way. Another one is come to our main window. Here, when the table is created, just refresh it. You can able to see the table. The table is created, right? Here you can able to see the high level information about the table. See this one, table details, the columns, what are the columns we have, whether the data is, if it is uploaded, you can able to see the data here. And then you can able to see copy history, and then you can see lineage. Lineage means nothing but so from where to where it is pointing out the dependency and all those things. You can able to see that in a lineage. Now the table is created, but we don't have any data here, right? So see this, we don't have any data here. We wanted to load the data. See this here, here also we have a load data option. When I click on table, directly I will get load data table option. See this one, when we click on, this is the schema to create. When I click on a table, I will get a load table option, right? Load data option. You can use it here or you can use it here. Both are same only. There is no difference. When you click on a load table option, let's observe what it is asking. Browse the file, upload the file. Just click on this and then we are going to upload the file. This is the file what we wanted to load. Now select, open the file. Now we have selected the file and then it is showing which database, which schema we wanted to point out, right? And then what is the table name, which table we have selected. We will cross verify this and then click on next. When you click on next, it is asking, see this one, file format options. What is this file format option? We need to tell to Snowflake this file format is this particular type. This is the delimiter for this particular file. We have to specify all those things. To specify it, see this here, you have an option of, see this, select the file format. Snowflake will support all these 6 different file formats. This is your certification question and interview question. If you come to this Snowflake, when you are loading the files, Snowflake will support all these different files formats. CSV, what we are loading today is nothing but a CSV file, nothing but comma separated value. Text file it will consider as a CSV. We can able to load JSON, Parquet, Avro, ORC, XML. Maybe you are familiar with CSV and then XML files. What about the other file formats? If you observe here, these file formats, whatever the other file formats, you can able to see it, right? These are semi-structured files. Going forward, we are going to see these things, how to handle with semi-structured data also. Now, the file which you are dealing, that is CSV file, right? Now, just click on CSV file. When you click on a CSV file, see this, the file which you have selected, that file is CSV file. You can able to see the data preview here. Why we need to specify? Why we need to specify here? So for the Snowflake, and at the same time, you can see view more options. See this one, header, field delimiter, right? If you observe the file, this is the file, right? So as a human, what you can understand, this is the column name. The first line is a column names, and this every column is separating by comma. When it is coming to the next line onwards, this is a data of this particular columns. This is separating with comma. When it is coming to the new line, we can consider this as a new row, right? We can consider this as a new row. By seeing this, we can understand. But how come the Snowflake will understand, right? That's the reason we need to specify file format. What is the file format you are trying to load? And you can able to see the additional options. For example, header. I wanted to skip by default. See this one? First line contains a header. If you specify that, it will not consider that first line as a data. For example, if I wanted to skip first line is nothing but this is the default option. The same option it will pick. If I want to skip the first line means, see this one, the first line will not be considered because already this particular file, the table structure is created. We wanted to load only the data, not the columns, right? That's the reason we can use skip line, right? Skip first line. For example, if I wanted to skip based on the custom, see this here, when I click on custom, if I enter 2, observe the preview here, what will happen is first 2 lines will be skipped. See this one, table preview, what happened? It is starting from here. First 2 lines means this one and this one is skipped. And if I use first 4 lines, let's come here. See this one, what happened? It has been skipped first 4 lines. This is the option to skip the lines from a header. Normally, by default option, it will be selected. First line contains a header. Before version, this is not available. This is newly added. Before this version, what we are going to do is, we are going to select skip first line. When you skip first line, then it will not consider this column as a row. Then it is considered this column, it will be skipped. Remaining only, it will be considered as a data. But now they have given the default option of the first line contains a header. If the file is not having any header, then you can choose this option. It means only the data you are trying to load. Instead of this, assume that this is not available. Then we can use no header option. But what is our option here? By default, it is selected based on our file which you uploaded. Based on that, it selected the first line contains a header. Clear, right? First line contains header, it is selected. Okay, good. Now, what is the next one? See this field delimiter. What is delimiter here? Which is separating in between the column to column. That is a delimiter. If you observe this file, the complete file belongs to single delimiter, that is nothing but a comma. right? In this file, if you replace comma with tab, if you replace comma with semicolon, if you replace comma with the pipe symbol, those are the delimiters. The complete file, if I replace it with the pipe symbol, then that is a pipe delimiter. Based on your file, you are going to specify delimiter here. See this? Now by default it is selected because this is a comma delimited. What are the other delimiters? So we can use semicolon, we can use space, we can use vertical bar, that is nothing but a pipe. And then if you have some special characters, I can give the custom. For example, every the field is delimited with hash. Then we can use like this. Observe this one, right? We can use like this. So hash. But what is the delimiter here? Delimiter is a comma is a delimiter. So I have used comma delimiter. Remaining all the options by default it is going to select. You don't need to worry about it. By default it will select. For example, if you wanted to understand more about this, see this, the question mark is there, right? Everywhere, just if you move the cursor on the question mark, you will come to know what it is exactly. So here, this is the default timestamp. It is default trim. Defaultly it is going to trim the additional spaces in the column. Field optionally enclosed by, see this one, it what it will happen is correct, it will enclose the string. It means if you have any additional characters in between the column, then if you by default if you use this field optionally enclosed by, then it is going to consider as a single data, single row. It will not be separated. These are the default date timestamp formats. You can able to use it. Now this is the file options what we have selected. And see this, table loading methods. So what are the this is the another new option which I have given. See this, what you wanted to, when I wanted to load a table, you wanted to append or you wanted to replace. See this, if you observe this, append means data will append on the existing table with copy into. It means already I have a 10 rows. First time I have loaded. Next time when I am running, again the data is available in the table 10. It should not disturb existing rows. It should not disturb. I wanted to load new data. Then we will use append. This is the by default option. Other option is replace. See this, what will happen is it will truncate the table and then it will load. It means it is going to remove all the data from the table and then it will load it. That is the replace option. But most of the time we will use append only option because we wanted to load the data into the table. Okay, so this is nothing but if you don't select here, you can able to see that properly right here, edit schema. So if you want like a case sensitive or the file order, based on the file order, match by columns, nothing but it is going to match based on the column. See this one, based on the column it is mapping. I wanted to map manually, then I can select like this. But here it is, everything is properly mapped, right? So that is match by columns. So this is by default it has selected, the match by columns is by default selected, right? And another thing is the last option, what happens now, observe this one, what happens if load fails. Let me minimize this. Yeah, see this one, what should happen if error encounters issue. It means when the data is loading, do you want it to fail or do you want it to continue? Continue means if you observe this, see this, only load valid data, on error continue, on error abort statement. You can see this, right? On error abort statement. This is the default option. It means during the load time, if it's identified any error, it won't load that particular data to the table. When you come to this continue option, what it is going to do is it will continue loading the data to the table, only the valid data. Invalid data it will ignore. It is going to ignore invalid data. That is the option. Here by default, what is the option? Do not load any data, right? Now, this is what we have done. So we have selected all these options. Now, if I click on load, the data will be loaded directly to the table. Before that, whatever the options it is available here, right? We selected this delimited option, and because it's a default option, that's why we didn't choose anything. So based on these options, what Snowflake is going to do is, in the back end, it is going to create a script. Observe this. When I click on show SQL, observe this one. This is the script what it has been generated in the back end to load the data into the table, right? Let me copy this script. This one is a copy symbol. Copy it. We will keep it here. This we will discuss going forward. We require this. Okay. Don't worry about this. It's a very simple steps here. What it is going to do is, what it is doing is, from the, it is going to load to the stage area. From the stage, it is going to load to the table. This is the option what it is doing. File, it is keeping the data to the stage. That is the first step. Stage, it is loading the data to the table. This is the second step. Okay. Now when you observe here, see this. Copy into table. This is the table name. This is the database name, schema name, table name, right? Fully qualified name it has mentioned, like a table name, schema name, and then database name. Copy to this table from, this is nothing but a stage area. By default, Snowflake is going to load all the files into the stage area. This is a temporary area. We are going to discuss more about this in the coming session. Temporary area where we are going to keep our files for the processing purpose. These things will be done in the backend by default. See this one? It kept this into the stage. From the stage, it is picking the data and then loading into the table. Here, see this file format file which it is selected, which we have given the file, and then file format, CSV, skip header, field delimiter. See this one, trim spaces true. All these are default. By default it has been selected. We didn't done anything, right? These are the default option it has been. And what is the last on error? Abort statement. If you get any error, abort the statement. Don't load any data, right? These are the things what it is available here. Okay. Now if I come here and then if I, let me hide this. If I click on load, what will happen? The data will be loaded to this particular table. Now observe this one. I am clicking on load option. See this, the file, this file text amp.txt file, that is nothing but a CSV file loaded to this particular database, this particular schema. This is the table. How many rows it is loaded? 4 rows has been loaded to the table, right? 4 rows has been loaded to the table. Now if I wanted to query this, you can click on this, then it will go to the worksheet only. Now click on done. Now observe this, select star from table, you can able to see that, right? Observe this, the data you can able to see it here. The file is loaded now. One time we have loaded this file. Now with the same option, I wanted to load one more time, same file. Here, by using this load table option, you can able to do it. But normally, by using a copy command, it is not possible. See this, I am selecting the same file one more time. One more time I selected. Let it be default option. And then let's select file format, CSV. Remaining all are default option, no need to change. Let it be. And I will use load. See this, one more time I am trying to load. What happened? Again 4 rows loaded. This will allow only in load table option. But remember, when you are executing copy command option, Snowflake will not support us to load same file one more time into the table. In the next session, we will see that. So that's how Snowflake is going to restrict duplicate entries into the table by using a copy command. But here, if you observe now, let me execute this. You can able to see totally 8 rows. First time it has loaded 4, second time it has loaded 8 rows, right? This is how we will load the data to the table by using load data option. This is our user interface. This is a one way of loading. We have other ways of loading by using a snowpipe. We can able to load the data. Okay, so by using like implementation of the other scripts, so by using the copy command, we can able to load the data. By using snowpipe, we can load this. These are the three different ways to load the data. Today we saw that one option that is related to load data option by using user interface option, right? Now remember, here it will not restrict loading duplicate data into the table. That is a drawback of load table option. And one more drawback is load table option. If your file size, if it is greater than like 200 MB, 200 MB, it will not allow using load table option. Load data option will not work. In that case, we have to use CLI. We will see that. We will come to that. But before that, one more thing we want to discuss. It's very important. If you observe, now we have loaded this particular file, right? This is related to CSV file. Now I wanted to load any Excel file here. If you observe, this is Excel file. Direct Excel file with extension of Excel SX, it will not allow you to load. Snowflake will support only .csv extension, comma separated values. What you need to do is, now the file which I kept it here in this particular folder, this is, if you observe this extension of the file, comma separate value. Let's assume you have an Excel file. You like created a data in an Excel file. You received the data in an Excel format. If you wanted to load this to the Snowflake, what you need to do is you need to convert this Excel into .csv. How to do that is, for example, see this here. Click on a file. You can click on save as option. So just I will select this default one and see this. Normally it will be so Excel access, right? So then you need to convert this into CSV. Select comma delimiter. Then this your Excel file will be converted into comma separated values. Because most of the applications, if you observe, they will accept CSV files because it is lightweighted when compared to Excel files. This is also a separate format, but it will not have all the like formulas and macros. It will not be available. And then even you don't have restriction to load. So volume of the data in Excel, for example, generally in a Excel, if you try to open more than millions of records, then it will hang, right? But in Excel, in a CSV format, if you convert and then if you try to load, it will open. Okay, it's a very lightweighted file. That's the reason. So most of the applications will accept CSV. Here in Snowflake also, it will accept CSV extension. That's why Excel file you need to convert into the CSV extension. This is the CSV extension file. Now, if you observe, see this comma separated value. Snowflake will allow this comma separated value file. Now I wanted to load this. Then what you can do? Come here. Again, same option. Click on this, load data. One more thing. If you observe this Excel file also, same structure, right? Employee ID, name, salary, age, look at same columns, right? Whatever the columns we created as a table structure, see this one? Same columns it is available. That's why I'm loading into the same table. Now browse, select the Excel file, click on open. Now click on next. This is also with the extension of CSV. That's why this is also CSV extension. File format is CSV extension. See this, by default it has mapped. You cross check, you can cross check in the table preview how the data will be loaded. Now remaining all our default options, let it be. Now click on load. Now what will happen? How many rows we have? 8 rows I have there in the Excel file. All the 8 rows has been loaded to the specific table. Right? Click on done. Now if you execute again here, what you can able to see, you can see the complete data here. Right? Here, what is the drawback of this? It will not stop loading duplicate files. And at the same time, there is a restriction of like if your file size is greater than up to 200 MB, it will not allow you to implement this load data option. That is a restriction. So what all the file types Snowflake will support when you are loading? Almost 6. Remember 6, number 6, then you can able to recall. Most of the time we will use CSV, JSON files. So others, Parquet, ORC, and then XML, very rarely we will use it, but most of the time we will go with CSV and then JSON files. We will see how to work with other file formats in the coming sessions. But here what we have done, we have loaded the data. Now for that, first we created a database. Within the database, once the database is created, then within the schema, we created a table by using this table script create table option. Then we use this load the data into the table, right? So these are the option how we can able to load the data by using this user interface option. Now, what we are telling is we have a restriction, right? Okay, and this will not allow, this will not stop loading the duplicate issues, right? How to overcome this? Answer is we can able to do it with command line interface with the help of copy command. We will call it as copy command. With the help of copy command syntax, you can avoid duplicate rows. I mean, you can avoid duplicate files inserting to the table, and then we can avoid loading the same file one more time. And with the help of this CLI copy command, we can able to load. There is no restriction of the file size. There is no restriction of the file size. So these things, so how to do this, how to implement it, so we are going to see that in the coming session. Okay, so just simple, remember this, we are not going to write all these things, just we will simple execute this file to the stage to the table by using a copy command. How to do that, we are going to see that in the coming session. So now we will stop it here for today. We will come to the questions here. See this, first like 2 to 3 sessions we will concentrate on loading with the different stages. Then you will get so one idea on it, how we can able to do it and all. Then we will jump into advanced topics case. Maybe some guys are aware of all these options. Okay, so please bear with me for 2 to 3 days. After that we will jump to the advanced options. I will come to the questions. I will read one by one. Just a minute. My suggestion is please request is please practice so first 1 week don't miss any sessions, any practice sessions on daily basis, so that you will get a hands-on experience. So then so you can able to understand very easily. What if the data file is not correct? Means any of the row is having 4 columns, each data is missing of any of the row. Yeah, what will happen is, Mohammed, here those things, right, it will be stopped. It will not load any data. And at the same time, if the file is having any issue, there is a different options. We can stop loading the data, we can continue loading the valid data. So if the column itself is having a issue, we have an option of truncate column option. Okay, these are the different options we will use to handle the data. Okay, so generally if you have any issue with the file, then it will stop loading the data. Okay. Project scenario, which one?
Um, um,
Hmm.
There's actually any other means any error log we
Hmm.
got the file error log file for this or means how can we find the file having a error or any data is missing from the file?
We will get the error. I will show you. We will get whatever the things we are going to execute it here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everything we can able to see that in a monitor window. Monitor is nothing but whatever the we have executed. See this one, all the status is success, right? See this,
Okay.
what about this one? It is telling that fail, right? What is the error of this? See this one, right?
Mm-hmm.
You will get this information here, right? The complete thing, the error information and all those things you can able to see that in the this particular the monitoring window. This is nothing but our log information. There is a different types of information will be available: query history, copy history, task history. All these things belongs to the execution of our scripts. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
we will see that
Yes.
one by one. So all the things also it will be like I will take one example, so with the different scenarios for the failures, then we will discuss it, then you will get one clear idea on it. Real time project scenario, which one is used? Yeah, most of the time, right? So rarely we will use CLI option. By using the user interface, if it is less volume of the data, we can use user interface option. But CLI option, we will use any manual loading option. But most of the time in a real time, we are going to use continuous ingestion process. That is nothing but a snow pipe that we are going to discuss in the coming session. Here, what we are going to do, it's a manual process, right? It's a manual, but in a project we won't do that manual every day. We won't do these things, right? We have to automate this. That particular thing we will call it as a snowpipe implementation with the help of copy command. When we are discussing about this, then you will get a clear idea on it. Can we insert the Excel file using the copy command if we pick the file in AWS? Yes, we can do that, Raviteja. That is possible. But only the thing is, before picking the data from the AWS, we need to create storage integration objects. Then we can able to do that. That is possible.
Another one, as you, maybe I'm asking too early. As you
Mhm.
told in the Snowpipe, you are telling continuously we can use the copy of the data from using the files or something in the table. Like
Correct.
if I get one today from March 1st to March 30th, I'm getting one file. And
Mhm.
as per the continuous incremental of data, customer is sending from March 25th to from March 30th. Again, he has sent in the next file. I
Okay.
mean, then yeah,
It is
in
not a
that
continuous. You are saying that it is a on like weekly
increment.
ones or monthly ones. Okay.
Correct, correct.
Yes, we can able to do that with the help of notification services. We can able to do that. We will call it as a SQS notification based on the trigger. We will see that real example. Then you will understand clearly. We are going to discuss that also. Mm.
Sure.
And yeah. Can we create private schema? Yes, we can able to create. See, going forward, can create it. But so as of now, we are use this schema, right? Now I wanted to create a new schema. See this one here. Just click on the data, and then you can click on the database. You have a create option, schema create option. Now I want my schema. I will give my okay create. Now new schema is created. Now whatever I wanted to do it, I wanted to go with this my schema only. Then yes, I can able to create the objects in this my schema also. Okay, we can able to do that.
And anybody who logs in will have restricted access to those objects in that schema.
But where did you say it's a my private schema?
Sorry, come
Uh,
again.
Dinesh, when you created the private schema, right? Where did
Uh,
you say it is a private schema? You just
Private
created,
schema means you mean to see that so you wanted to restrict the other accesses.
yeah.
Yeah, because okay, coming to that. If you wanted to restrict other accesses to the other persons, that is like the managed schema. We used to call that as a managed schema. Here, what we are going to do is we are logging with account admin option, right? So because of the account admin option, we have access to all the schemas, all the databases. Now you wanted to implement a private schema or nothing, but here we will call it as a managed schema. In that case, what you have to do is with the help of role-based access control, we are going to control the users. Like when I logged in, I can able to see my schema. When others log in, they cannot able to see the schema. Like that, we can able to manage that thing. You got it right? That is with the help of role-based access control, we can able to restrict it. So others, don't worry about this. I'm going to explain with the example going forward with the help of role-based access control. At that time, we will see that.
So by default, when you create a schema, it's going to be a public schema.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Just a minute. Yes, we can implement the merge option also while loading the data. So once the data is loaded later on, so we can use the merge option. While loading, there is no merge option. So what will happen is it will append the data to the table. It will
Okay.
files. Yeah. Yes, we can able to see all these log values in the query history table. If you wanted to pick from there, and then if you wanted to load it into another like error table, we can able to do that with the help of tasks, with the help of procedures, we can able to do it while loading.
Sorry, there's one more question that I have listed. Is there a way to see the data in the staging area?
Yes, we can able to see that. So it's not a data. We can able to see the files by using that. By using list command, we can able to see that. In next session, we are going to work with the stages, right? I will show you how to see the files there.
No, right.
Stage means it is nothing but the data. Just consider this is only the files. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
While loading, copying, how do we maintain the integrity? Example, loading parent transaction. Yes. So while loading, so when we are loading the data, so what we can do is we can create a dependencies, Krishna. So in that way, so we can able to do that. We have a option of task implementation. With the help of task, which table has to load first, which table has to load next. We can able to set up this dependency. By using that, we can able to achieve the parent and child relationship transactions. That is possible. See, whatever the questions you are asking, right? It's little like advanced things. We are going to discuss all these things in the coming sessions, guys. Who is like the newly learning Snowflake, right? So don't worry about these things. We are going to see all these things in the coming sessions with the examples. If one column data is not available, like age, is it shown as a data or throw error? If it is not available, then it will by default, it is going to consider as a null value. It will not throw error. If I wanted to create it as a default value, then directly when we are creating a table itself, we can append any default value for that Dilip. That is possible. So what will be the maximum size of the data could be loaded to UI? Through user interface, right? Maximum, we can say that a 200 MB file. That's it, not more than that. Not directly related to the, just a minute. What is the role of Snowflake developer in designing Snowflake data warehouse? Is there any separate role for that? Yeah, coming to this Hemant, like generally, so what will happen is in Snowflake, right? You will have any senior persons who will call it as a like a data architects. They are responsible for like how this process is going to work. So what all the like here we are creating like a database and then schemas, right? How many databases need to be created? What is the relationship between these tables? How many tables is required? See this, if you see the example of this call center organization here in the sample databases, you can see multiple schemas, and then every schema, it contains the multiple tables, but each table, it contains a different data related to respective to their business, right? All these things will be handled so by the architect. So how the designing part and everything, how the database structure should be there, and then when you are loading, how many like years of the data we need to load, how many years of the data we need to keep in archiving. So how it can, for example, if I wanted to pull the data from some other systems, what is the best way to implement it, whether to follow full load, whether to follow the incremental load, based on the business scenario, they need to understand, and then they have to they have to guide the developers. That is the role what architect is going to do. Okay, so but when it is coming to the Snowflake developers and then Snowflake data engineers, what we are going to do it here, the same thing we are going to do it. If you want to remove specific columns, miss that column. Okay, it means you are asking about you wanted to drop a column or you don't wanted to load a specific column. If you wanted to drop a column, then we have a syntax of so alter command. So with the help of alter command, we can able to drop the specific column. And if the file is available, more number of columns, for example, in the table, we have only 3 columns, but in a file, you have 10 columns. Yes, that is possible to load. We can skip remaining columns and then we can load only the specific columns. That option also, we will see that in the coming session. And can we have constraints to have check on the column values? Yes, Lenin. So we have the constraints, but Snowflake, right? What will happen is only it will enforce not null constraint, but we can create other constraints like primary key constraint. We can create unique key constraint. We can create, but what will happen is it will not enforce. Just for the logical representation, we can able to create those columns, but it will not enforce. Only remember, not null constraint will be enforced in Snowflake. For that, if you wanted to keep constraints, right? Yes, we can do that. Now, recent future Snowflake has given as a hybrid table. With the help of hybrid table, we can do that. But what will happen is, performance wise, it is dead slow. That's why it is not. Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Any other question in this particular session, guys? I request you please practice this, and then when during the
About
practice,
the
if you
data
get any
duplication,
questions, please let me know. Data duplication.
I mean, if you are loading, I mean, using the
Mm,
copy command, I mean, two
mm,
files you told we can load
got
it.
it.
The copy command. I mean, I
Yes.
have the same employee number, like that Lenin has asked, like
Got
the
it. Got
constraint, the
it.
primary key constraint, like that.
Mm, mm,
I am entering in the two different files. I
File.
am keeping the
Mm, mm,
same employee ID, and
mm.
it is by default. I mean, by mistakenly I have given, and it is loaded. It will load or it will restrict it.
It will load. Only what will happen is, in the next example, we are going to see that what will happen is, if you are trying to load the same file again, it will restrict.
I
Okay.
mean,
But if
employee
the
one and
file name
employee
is
two,
different,
employee one and employee two, employee one, 1, 2, 3, 4, I have kept. In employee one table, 4, 5, 6. I mean, here it is have 4, and there it also having the 4
mm,
employee
mm, mm,
code like that. And
mm,
the employee
mm,
file name may be different. The file name
file.
vary, but
Correct. What will happen is it will compare always with the metadata. And if the metadata is same, then it will restrict the loading the duplicate files. If your file name is different, but the data is similar, then it will allow you to load. Okay, so that's how this is going to work in Snowflake. I will show you the things practically in the coming session.
How is it? How is it? Why would it using the copy command?
Mhm,
If there's a duplicate row, whether you're bringing it whether you're bringing the transaction data from transaction
mhm,
one file or transaction two file, if
mhm,
employee ID or order
mm,
ID, right, is
mm,
same.
Mm-hmm.
and employee ID 4 already exists.
Mm-hmm.
And when you try to copy it from a different file, and that file also has employee ID 4, it's a
Mm-hmm.
duplicate value, right?
It's a duplicate value, but so why the same employee ID will come again? If they have done any delta transactions, then only the data will come into the picture, right? So consider the Snowflake as OLAP systems, not for the transactional systems. Okay, as you said, when you have any like a transaction data, like any kind of databases things, we can able to do that. For example, let's assume same employee ID ordered one product today, same employee ID may ordered tomorrow also the same product, right? Different product can be ordered, but the same employee ID, but we need to enter this transaction, right?
Yeah.
So that's the reason it will allow. And at the same time, Snowflake is a columnar storage, and here because of this reason, the primary key is not enforced. Maybe you, if you go in depth about the columnar storage, then you will understand. uh, in discussing about the partitions, we will discuss about this. Because of this reason, Snowflake will not enforce the primary key. Okay, this we will
Um,
consider for the warehousing purpose.
but example by mistake, right?
Mm-hmm.
The file has yesterday's transaction.
Mm.
Okay, and
Mm-hmm.
today there is a new file which
Got it.
also had the same yesterday's
Same
transaction.
file. Yeah, in that case, right, in the stage area, we have to handle this duplication issue. Then we have to
Mm,
remove it. Yeah.
yeah, the uniqueness is yesterday's transaction and today's transaction. At least we have a date as uniqueness,
Mm-hmm.
right? Yesterday's date and today's date is unique.
Correct. Got it. In that case, we can have to handle this in the stage areas.
Mm.
Yeah.
Maybe we compare, or maybe we compare all the columns
Yes.
and avoid
Mm.
duplicate.
Exactly. Mm.
Okay. Okay.
So for that, we have a different functionality, like kind of, we will say that maybe you heard about MD5 function. So it will be
No.
created MD5 function. With the help of that, we can able to do that. It is nothing but generating a surrogate key with a different combination of the key columns.
I'm new to this because I have little
Okay,
fundamentals of
fine.
SQL. I was able to
Oh,
understand.
okay, got it. Easy way is with the help of merge statement, we can able to handle this. We will discuss that. Don't worry about this now. Okay.
Mm.
Any other questions, guys? Okay. Okay, guys. Thank you. Thank you all
Thank
for
you.
your time.